Welcome to this episode of Reestablishment. I'm your host, Bodie D'Andrea. Today we are going in uncharted waters. We're going to do something I've never done before, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but we want you to come along on the journey with us. Today, the episode is titled Meet My Wife, and this is the first time I've ever interviewed my wife. And so, Michelle, good to have you with us on the
Thank you.
on the podcast today. I think it's very important that we introduce our viewers to you and that you have things that you can say that will be very helpful in what they're going through. So I'm going to set it up a little bit because we have not rehearsed this. We're just free forming. Michelle was born here in the Tampa Bay area, regular working class family. Mom ran a home daycare. Dad was a produce manager at a supermarket, and just a regular, normal, abnormal kind of family like most. A blended family, and just public school system, but grew up in the church, had a good foundation, and just what you would consider a normal kind of upbringing. And then she met me. And so when we met, I was already into my law enforcement career, my military career. And so really what I want to talk to today, or want you to talk about, is maybe give people some good foundational tips on what it's like to run a home with children, and when the husband is gone a lot or doing high risk type of jobs, gone for long periods of time, certain times don't know where I was, what I was doing based on the missions I was on, and what that was like to run the jobs. Actually, tell everybody about our kids first.
we have 4 kids. We have 3 older girls, and then we have a little boy. So at the time when he was deployed and gone for a while, I only had the 2 girls. And then Isabella came along, so then we had 3 girls. But she was a baby. When he was gone, it was mostly Stephanie, me, and Melena, and Isabella. And the best way to put it is, if you have family support, that's the easiest way to do it. If you don't have any type of family support and you're all alone and it's just you and your kids, or you reach out and get help. Get family support.
So before my first deployment, which was to Iraq, I had been in law enforcement already before we met, and she was used to worrying whether I was coming home. If my shift should have been over and I wasn't home yet, she would stay up and wait or expect a phone call saying that I was okay, I'm just running late. Sometimes it would be, well, you'll see me on TV on a case I'm working or something like that. But early on, even before the deployment, you had, well, you describe it. Was it anxiety? Was it?
It took a bit to get used to when I first met you, and being in law enforcement and military. Coming from, my dad was in the military. This was before I was born. He got out, but I understand the whole military life, and I appreciated that from him. But as far as being in law enforcement, it did take me getting used to a lot. I guess a lot of times I did kind of worry or wonder, or didn't want that phone call. But then after a while, I just knew that it was going to be okay. I just kind of went with it. And then if I did have any questions, or if I felt like maybe a little bit anxiety or something, I'd reach out to my family, and I did that quite often.
So I will say that we have very strong family support. Always have on both sides.
Yes.
Totally different families. Completely different makeup of the actors, the players, whatever we call them. So it was totally different. But we did have strong family that stepped in and helped. We did have strong church family that was very, very good and gracious to us. That would help. One of the things, if there's somebody that's any kind of first responder or military, I've said this publicly and I'll say it again today, that when I leave to go to one of my other jobs, whether it's law enforcement, military, those entities are also my family. So I have three families. So when I would leave the house to go to work, I was with another family. Because in the military, you all take care of each other.
Yeah.
Law enforcement, you all take care of each other. And so I've always said that I was part of three different families, but yet my wife was really only one. She would get support from the others, but it wasn't like I was getting. And so it was kind of an odd thing to describe. I know when I was in Iraq, there were times when we could not communicate. I don't know if you want to
Yes.
talk about those.
Oh, I think that was the most difficult, is when you were in Iraq, because it was missing birthdays, missing holidays, missing anniversary, missing Christmas, missing every holiday there was. It was missed. So I kind of had to be, I know this sounds weird, but I had to be the mom and the dad. So I kind of had to be both. And, someone always asked me, well, how did you do it? How did you do it? And again, family support, I'm thankful for that every day. But if you don't, please reach out to, because there's so many resources out there that you can reach out to. But for me, I was very thankful that I did. But I just kind of sat back and you just kind of do it.
So
You
didn't
just-
watch the news.
No, don't watch the
We talked
news.
about that.
No,
Yeah.
don't watch the news. And if I didn't get a knock at the door every day, I was good.
Yeah. So we did have a couple close things. One of them, we look back now and we laugh about it. I had stood in line for 45 minutes to call home, and you can only talk for like 10 minutes. And I've been standing in the blazing heat, going in this tent, and I finally got on the phone to her, and all I got a chance to say was, "Hey, how are you?
Yes.
How's the kids?"
Uh-huh.
And she heard this big explosion, where we were taking incoming, and I said, "Gotta go." I hung up the phone, and you didn't hear from me again for another day or two.
That was crazy for me, because again, if nobody came to the door, if I didn't get a phone call, I just kept.
But you heard the explosion.
I did, and actually when I don't even know if I ever told you this, but when I hung up, I just sat there and cried. Because I didn't know if I was going to hear from you, or if I didn't know if somebody was going to, come to the door, and I just sat there and cried, and
Yeah, and then we had a time where we did take some casualties, and thank God I was okay. I was in the vicinity, and
that
the
was
way
another hard one.
the way the military works is until they notified the exact family members of those that are killed or wounded, they don't make it published. And so all the wives back home were calling each other saying, "Have you
yes.
heard? Have you heard? Have you heard?" And we had a period of a couple days where the news said that there had been
Yes.
an attack on a base, and she knew it was potentially where I was, didn't know exactly where I was. And so that time of unknowing, talk about that.
That hurry up and wait kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's kind of what it was for me. So I wanted the days to go, because I was hoping that I would get a phone call from you. And then when you did finally call me, I cried.
Yeah,
You can't help that part of you as being human.
right.
No, because you have 1,000 things going through your mind of what ifs,
Yeah.
and you kind of have to. I had to keep telling myself, there's no what ifs. Just
So let's talk about some practical stuff. So the way that our family is structured, and not every family is the same, I understand that, is I typically pay out of the accounts the lion's share of the bills.
Yeah.
I handle renewals of
everything.
insurances and
Yeah, you do
and any
private.
any
Yeah.
contracts or anything like that. And so we did, before I deployed the first time years ago, we made up our own little family dossier. We made a binder, and if
Wait, do you want to hear my name for it? I call it the blue fake Bible, because it's huge and it's a blue, and that's where I put everything in it. So if anything ever happened, because when he was gone, we had a Hurricane Katrina come, remember? And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So all I did was grab that binder, off I went
yeah,
to my parents, because that had everything in it that we needed.
so
and that's what
security
I used
numbers,
as everything.
passwords, passports, names of accounts,
The house
the house documents, car documents. So we had prepared as best we could. And so maybe that'll help you. Maybe it's something you should probably do. But what is interesting is she got into a rhythm. while I was gone, where she was, as she said, the
Mom and the dad.
the mom and the dad
Yeah.
to the kids. And so when I came home, I'm actually intruding on the system that was working for her and them. They were on a routine, and now I come back from deployment and I'm actually messing up their routine. So the first deployment was a little difficult because of some other family events that happened right before I came home,
Yeah.
and it made it a little traumatic. I had some post-traumatic stress. It was not a disorder, but I was goofed up for what, you tell me. I don't.
Mhm.
For me, I was living normal. But
But
what would you
certain
say?
things-
A
certain-
month, maybe?
Maybe a little bit longer. I know your first Bucks game was a rough one for you.
Yeah, I went to a football game and
Yeah, I
heard the
remember that.
cannons go off, and
You're
landed
with
in my
you're with
dad's
your
lap.
dad. Yeah, you're with your dad at that time.
Yeah, I actually just
Hmm.
dove.
Yes. And your dad said, "Son, are you okay?" I won't forget that. But that's true. That I think, and even now, some things I think that have maybe left an impact, not a bad impact, but just things maybe are different. But going back to, like he said, he took care of everything like in the household. So I do, still to this day, I mow the lawn, I do the house, I do everything kind of outside, inside. He kind of takes care of, the bills and all that stuff, which it's great. But when he was gone, I had to do it all. So then I'm like, okay.
So one of the things
So-
that she does is it's very therapeutic.
Yes.
Whenever I go away, she does something to the house.
I do a project.
She either rearranges furniture, or she repaints, or she does something
Or
landscaping.
I tile a whole house with your brothers and your mom and your dad.
Yeah, so, and it's funny because if you've been gone a long time and you come back to the house that you've been looking to forward so long to come back to, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you stumble over furniture because it's all been moved around. It's kind of funny. But
I did do
on the
that.
subsequent deployments, and you helped me get through that time. You were very patient with me because I didn't have a lot of patience when I came home.
No.
Because I was on
Yes.
a system of moving quickly and
I think that was the hardest for me.
yeah.
Is when I met you. You are the most patient person I've ever known. When you came back, and I said that, I'm like, wow, you have, your patients are awesome. But when you came back, that was the one thing that I really only noticed was not being
Some
very
sleepless
patient.
stuff.
Yeah, but that's usual. But not being very patient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, things would happen in the house, and you'd be like, oh, okay. And I'm like, really? Now it's the patience that you had. I think that would be the
You
only
don't have to
thing
tell
I would
everything.
say.
So
it's not a bad one. It's just
well,
not
so we
patient.
learned from that first one. Actually, one of our daughters, we took her to see a counselor because
Yes.
it affected her because of the length I was gone and to not have a father figure at critical moments in her life during that deployment. But what we learned in subsequent deployments is when I would come home after that, I learned not to touch anything and not to upset the rhythm that her and the kids were in. And she would then come to me and say, okay. I'm ready
And
to
I
give the
did.
checkbook back.
Yes.
I'm ready to relinquish this. And so it actually gave me a time to decompress when I came home. And it gave her a time to wrap it up in her head before she was able to transition back. And I think that's very important. We were able to, for us, that worked. I don't know
Yes.
that works for everybody, but I think it works for us.
But the best way that we kind of learned when he got back, we went to a counselor and they told us, here's how remember how they told us how it went? There's a ladder, and we kept moving on the ladder, and where you left us, you're still at the bottom of the ladder. So we still have to continue with life.
Right.
So we kind of had to keep moving on. Where
Yeah. So when I left, our youngest daughter, she was literally an infant.
Isabella. Yes.
And then I came back and she was walking and talking, but she recognized it, but really didn't know me.
Yeah, she's like, wait, I know you, but why do I know you?
But why do I
Yes.
know you?
Mhm.
So we had to rekindle that, and it takes time, and we work through it. And we've been married now 24 years,
Soon.
and yeah, it's coming up on 24 years. And I think the communication piece has to stay strong. There are things
Absolutely.
that always come in, but I thank you for what you've done,
Thank you.
what you've done with the kids, taken care of. I never really worried about the house when I was gone. I always felt that it was in good hands. And so I appreciate that. But I think these are things, good tips for those that are listening
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
podcast today. That number one, you have to have good, proper planning. Number two, I think that you have to have good communication. And even if the plans go sideways,
Correct. Yeah, I would say just remember that, because what you may have planned in your head may not go
right.
exactly what you have planned. So you always have to be open to say things may change. But I can't emphasize enough on reaching out to somebody if you're struggling with your spouse being gone. That's a big part. And
Absolutely.
again, I'm thankful for my family, my mom, my dad, my aunt and uncle.
You have friends.
I have a really great best friend. I mean, if you don't have that, it's important. And I know this, you reach out to, for support that will help get you through. You may think, oh, it's not going to help, but you would be surprised the tips and stuff that they give you that really will get you through it.
There you go. Words from a strong woman right there. And that's how we've stayed married all these years. Anyway, I just thought it was important to see the side of me that most of you don't see. And we'll have her back on another podcast. But I just thought it was really important to meet my wife. Thanks, honey. I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
This episode of Reestablishment is brought to you by Man360.tv, a show for men about manly things. Check it out, Man360.tv.